Well, I wanted to mention them. I had down a Jewish family, very unusual for a Jewish family. But Mr. Friedman had brought at a shoe store, and Dr. Friedman, and we said, daughters. I had all the daughters at school, but they practiced all Christian holidays. I wondered lots of times what the girls thought about that. We'd get off for they were in high school when I taught there, but people they thought they were strange. The Jewish people were in the stores and things, the older people.
I probably shouldn't have done this, but we had chapel every Friday, and they had preachers from all over the county that came, and it was a devotional.
Absolutely.
And I had Marcia Friedman and Mary Carol Ash. Marcia was Jewish, Mary Carol was Catholic. And Catholics were almost as bad as Jewish to the Protestants.
So they did that in all the schools?
Yeah, they did that in all the schools.
It was very Christian. Very Christian.
In homeroom, and every day you read out of the Bible.
Yes, when I first started teaching, you had to read 10 verses of the Bible every day.
First of all, we stood up and said the allegiance to the flag,
Right.
especially
But
in grammar
anyway,
school.
those girls got so, and those ministers would talk about the Jews and the Catholics, say derogatory things. So they asked me, they said, Mr. Spence, they came in, they said, could we hide out in your room and not go to assembly? I didn't go every time, myself. And I said yes. And so they because they didn't want to hear those terrible things said about their religion, And Dr. Friedman's father,
He was Jewish.
yeah,
Yes.
he was looking, I asked why that he came to Lenoir City. They were from New York, and the grandmother came over. I think they sent her over, Dr. Friedman's mother. They sent her, an aunt and uncle had come over, and her parents sent her over with some relatives. And they pinned her name on her dress, and they came over afterwards. But she came over on a ship with some friends by herself. And she had a very thick Russian accent. But anyhow, Dr. Friedman's father he had come to Tennessee, I don't know how or why, but he was looking for a place to open a store. And he got on the Knoxville. He got on the train from Knoxville and got off at the different places. He was making it all the way to Chattanooga. He decided that Sweetwater was going to be the best place, he thought. But he got off at Lenoir City, and he liked the downtown, and he started a store called The Hub. Yeah, you've probably seen that picture at the museum. We have, I think it's one of my favorite picture of all. It's the women in line after World War II. Standing in line to buy nylon hose. See, nylon was used in parachutes, and you couldn't get those. And so that's the reason why he came here. He was looking for a place to start a store.
Well, this kind of leads me into the next question I was going to get into is what was the importance placed on religion in Lenoir City? Okay.
See, all these kids that came from the communities, they had little churches that they went to.
They're all Christian, though.
Yeah, and they believed fervently, and they would, I remember some would say, I'd get after her for sleeping. They said, well, they all had Christmas programs, big Christmas programs. And they'd say, and they'd practice for months for those things, I think. But religion was very important. And like I said, it was a state law. And I guess until Madeline Murray, that atheist, came along and sued. We read 10 verses of the scripture every morning.
That's so sad. We stood up and let that happen as a Christian community.
Well, the kids hated to do it. I made them read sometime. I didn't want to.
I got a good story about that. Go ahead.
But anyhow,
They're in the towel.
This was a very rural community in many ways, you know, even, and so religion was very important. You know, you've heard the story of Bush Brazil, who planned his own funeral, and they did that movie.
I made his stone. He played down there all those years.
Yeah.
But see,
Never
so
had
many of
stone.
the teachers that I had at Lenoir City High School, I had those same women at First Baptist Church as my teachers there. Jeanette Alford, one of my favorite people of all time. I mean, she taught me at church just as well as teaching me at school, and Gladys Elmore, and you know, so.
I just got to laugh at the name Gladys Elmore.
Oh, I love, you know, I love.
Now, Miss Alford was a very strict and thorough teacher.
But she was a wonderful lady.
Mr. Roberts, your memories?
I guess, well, my parents were kind of backward. They came out of western North Carolina hills and didn't have much education. We never had a car. So we lived on 4th Avenue. We went to Second Baptist Church. The kids did. Mom and Dad they never did go, but they made sure that we were clean when we went.
That was my
And
parents.
then we moved over on 5th Avenue. We went to Church of Nazarene. It was about a half a block from there, and then that kind of took me on through high school. But I remember we had Vacation Bible School. We had it for 2 weeks. Now they can do it for a week. We had a
3
session
days.
in the morning and a
4
session in
days
the evening.
this year.
4 days.
You know, and another thing about reading the Bible, I was in who's a biologist, Miss Ritchie's
Ritchie.
homeroom. And so I don't know if I could read, or I got to do it quite often. But so
Good reader, Paul.
I would pick me out a parable, something that was easy. You could have a kind of a moral. One morning I could not find anything, and I got into that genealogy, and I couldn't pronounce any of the names. So I'd stick it over in front of Miss Ritchie. She'd say the name, and I'd read it. And that went back and forth, so I didn't ever have to read again. So, but religion was quite a big part of our family.
Well, I think in Lenoir City it's still a big part.
I do too.
I mean, I go to church right around the corner. I'm a charter member of that church.
Yep.
Started out at Pleasant Hill, and matter of fact, there was a gentleman that you all might remember, Collins. What's his first name?
Who?
Collins. He made it big in Nashville.
Oh, Tom.
Tom.
He was in our class.
Well, his parents had one of those little stores you was
Yeah,
talking
they
about.
did.
And when Pleasant Hill kind of it overburdened them, and First Baptist took it over and finished out the mission at Kingston Pike right around the curve. And his parents took a big interest in that from First Baptist, and of course then we organized in '55. I've been there ever since, still active in that church, and a lot of different people, because you know a lot of the old folk that I admire and respected and taught, they have all really gone to be with the Lord. Actually, talking about the baseball coach, Mr. Brandon,
Yeah.
he gave me a copy of the 1958 championship basketball
Yeah,
game. I've got that.
I got one of them.
You got one of them? It's kind of grainy, but
Well, you know, I haven't gotten out there, but they have a sort of a sports hall of fame.
yes,
It's a
they
pretty
do.
nice little museum.
It is.
I just have never gotten out there to.
We'll visit over here whenever you go.
It's in the state. Well, yeah, it's in the
Stadium over here.
stadium.
It's in the
yeah.
stadium.
You ought to see what